everyone! Today is the day that we're going to learn how to make this hat with the big pom-pom on top. It's going to be crocheted back and forth in this direction and then as one flat piece, and at the end we're going to seam it together and then pull it tight at the top to create the actual hat, and then we'll make a pom-pom. This is a pretty easy pattern to follow. Skill level would be a beginner, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So before we get started, there's a few things you're going to need. If you already watched the pre-video, you would know what you'll need, but I'll go over it again just in case. You're going to need a copy of the pattern, or you can just follow along with what I'm telling you to do. The pattern is actually located on the Lion Brand Yarn website. This is a free pattern, and it's for the Durango hat, and there's the pattern number if you wanted to look it up. I just printed a copy, black and white, which has seen better days now because I've been carrying it around in my bag. But that's the pattern you're going to need. You're going to need some worsted weight wool, okay, which you can use any kind that you want, you know, Lion Brand, Red Heart, whatever you want, as long as it's a worsted weight wool. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need a yarn needle. You are also going to need I believe the pattern calls for, let me just have a quick look. Yeah, it calls for a crochet hook in size H or a number 8 crochet hook, which is the equivalent of a 5mm crochet hook, which I have one there to the side. I just have to grab it. And you're going to need something to use as stitch markers. Now I'm going to use bobby pins. You can use anything for a stitch marker, a piece of yarn in a contrasting color, anything you want, but bobby pins I have them around the house and they're easy to use. So let me grab my crochet hook and we're going to get started. So I'm just going to move these things over out of the way for a few moments. Here is my crochet hook. I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but it is an H8 5mm crochet hook. Okay, now the stitches that you need to use for this pattern, it's just a single crochet. If you don't know how to do a single crochet, not to panic, you can go back and watch my previous video and learn how to do the single crochet stitch and practice that before we start. You'll be an expert at doing a single crochet stitch by the time we're finished. This hat suggests that you should do a gauge to make sure that you're not stitching too loosely or too tightly. I didn't bother to do a gauge because this hat, because it's stitched around, is quite stretchy. So there's a lot of give. So if it was a bit tight, you would still have lots of, I think, room for movement or growth. If you do want to do a gauge, stitch 15 single crochet, and that 15 single crochet should measure approximately 4 inches or 10 centimeters in length. Okay, if you find that it's bigger, then you would go down a hook size. If you find that it's much smaller, go up a hook size. So the first thing that our pattern tells us to do is to chain 41. So we're going to chain 41 stitches together here. Now, with all of our crochet, we always start with a loop knot. Okay, a slip knot. Basically, you just loop your yarn over and pull up this inside piece to give you a little loop. It's a bit difficult for me to do this through the camera. There you go. And you hook that loop onto your crochet hook like so. If you need help doing any of these starting techniques, just go back and watch my previous video that I did for the infinity scarf. I had some tutorials on how to get started, how to do a single crochet, and how to do a double crochet, I think was used in that, and how to hold your yarn and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to chain 41 chains. So I hold my yarn in my left hand and I crochet with my right hand. So to create a chain stitch, you're just going to yarn over your hook, pull through your loop, that's one stitch, yarn over your hook, pull through your loop, that's 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through, 3, that's yarn over, pull through, that's 4, and we're going to continue to do this until we have 41. So far I have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we should all have 41 chains on our hook. And when you count your chains, you're not counting the loop that's on the hook. You're counting all of the chains below that. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay? So once we have 41 chain done on our hook, and your chain, you're going to want to keep your stitches a little bit loose. You don't want a real tight chain. You want to see this little bit of give when I pull the chain, how it expands a bit. You need a little bit of give. Okay, that's helping to create the stretch for the band of your hat. So row 1 on our pattern, it says single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and in each chain across. So we're going to, I'm just going to see if I can make sure I'm focused there. We're going to put a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on the hook. So this one underneath, that's going to be the first chain from the hook. The next one is going to be the second chain from the hook. You're going to place your hook in through that chain, like so. You're going to yarn over, pull that through. So you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops, and that is your first single crochet complete. Now this is where you're going to use your first stitch marker. For beginners, it might be difficult to see this last stitch when we work our way back the row. So just take a stitch marker and slip it right through both loops of that first stitch there. And we're just going to let that guy hang out there. Now we're going to single crochet in every stitch across the row. So we're going to go into the next chain. You can see this is the one we just went into right here. So we're going to go into the next hole right here. Yarn over and pull through a loop. Yarn over, pull through both. Into the next chain with your hook. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So now you can see we've got 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3. We've done 3 single crochet stitches. Same thing again into the next chain space. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Into the next V of the next chain, right in here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm hoping that this is not blurry. I'm hoping this is going to turn out okay. So you can see each of our single crochets here. You can see the post underneath and the little V on top. So we're going to single crochet in every chain until we reach the end, and I'm going to meet you at the end. So I'm down to the last 3 stitches on my chain. I'll finish these up with you because this little last one sometimes is a bit tricky. So I'm into the third one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Second last one here, into the stitch. It's hard to see this through the camera. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And then this very last one, which is next to our slip knot. We're going to go right into that one. Whoops. I'm going to go right into there. Yarn over, pull through. Actually, I caught a piece of yarn then. See, I told you it was tricky. There we go. In through, it's because I'm looking at it through the camera. Yarn over, pull through. There we go. Yarn over and pull through 2. So I have come to the very last stitch. So now we have 40 stitches. If you were to count starting with this one that our stitch marker is in, and you counted every one of these across, you would have 40 of these little V's, not including the one on the hook. So we start with a chain of 41, we stitched on the second chain from the hook, and that will give us 40 stitches in total. So now row 2 of our pattern says to chain 1 and turn. So we're just going to yarn over and pull through that loop. That's our chain 1. Okay, and then we're just going to turn our work around. And it says, working in the back loops only, single crochet in each single crochet across. So when we say work in the back loops only, when you look at the top of your crochet, you're going to see all of these little V's. Normally, if I was going to do a regular single crochet here, I would put my hook through there, right, underneath the little space, so that both of these V's ended up on top of my hook. But because we want our hat to have this ribbed texture, like this, we're just going to single crochet in one of those loops. So when you look at this from the top and you see those little V's, you're actually going to go through just the back loop. So into this first stitch right here, we're going to go in through the top of the stitch and poke our needle out the back. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is going to be our first stitch on the way back. So we're going to put our second stitch marker in there. Right through both of those loops on the top. Okay? So the next one, the V right next to that is right here. I'm going to go in through the back loop only. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the next V, right here. In we go. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 3 stitches. The one that your stitch marker is in, there's number 2, and there's number 3. So we're going to do this the whole way across these little loops. So into the next one, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. The next one, into the back loop only. So you can see instead of going under here, I'm going in here. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Next one. And so on. We're going to do this the entire way across this row. And you can already see how this is getting a little bit of a bump here. That's creating our rib. From the other side, you can see how it's separating the stitches there, and that's causing a little ripple. So that's what's going to create the ribbing for your hat, is going into the back loop, because we are not stitching into this front loop here at all. This front loop is being left unworked, and we're only working on the back one. So you can do that all the way across until you get to the last stitch, and I'll meet you there. Here I am back again. We're down to the last couple of stitches. And I'm coming up on that stitch marker. So I'm going to put a single crochet in the back loop of this one, and this is where your stitch marker is going to come in handy. See if I can focus in on this a little bit better. Because when you get to the end here, it's easy to mistake that for the end of the piece rather than it actually being a stitch. That's why the stitch marker is good. So I know that this is an actual V. This is an actual top of a stitch. So I'm going to go into the top of that stitch, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and then I can take out my stitch marker, because I'm going to use that again in a second. There's our first row all done. Stitch markers in the other end. We're going to chain one. So I'm going to chain one. I'm going to turn my work, and as you can see, this is my chain one right here. We're not counting the one on the hook. This is the chain one right here, and this is the first stitch. So I'm going to insert into the back loop only of that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, and this is going to be my stitch right there. And oops, hard to see that through the camera. I am going to slip my stitch marker in through there. There we go. So that'll mark that V on my return. And again, we're going to do this the whole way across. Okay? We just went into this one, now we're going to go into the next one. Pull up your yarn, yarn over, pull through two. Insert into the next back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. Insert into the next back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. And you can see this is going to continue now, and we can see how this little bit of ribbing is showing up now. So we're going to continue with that. That's the rest of the pattern. You're going to continue to single crochet in every stitch, back loop only, all the way across. And when you get to this stitch marker, this signifies the last V on this side, you're going to go into that back loop. I'll just show you here because it's tipped over. There's the V. You're going to go right in there, back loop only, right? There you go. And then you can remove the stitch marker and add it back on after you chain one and turn like I did with this one. So you're going to continue to do that. Keep going every row, back and forth, until the length of this measures approximately 19 inches. Okay? And that's it. You're just going to keep doing that. Once that's done, we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish it off, how to sew it together, and how to create the pom-pom for the top.